Since these days have been a lot about confession and confessions, I will start with a confession also. I've never been to Rome, or even anywhere near Rome, but as a second confession, I really want to go to Rome, but considering all these terrorist attacks, it's probably much less likely than like 4 years before this. But basically, I want to go to Rome. I want to see not the modern Rome that people go to. Well, some people do go to see the modern Rome, but I do not want to see the modern Rome. I want to see the ruins of Rome, the Rome that once was. The Rome that was around the time of Christ's birth and around Emperor Augustus's reign. The famous market that was built inside of a hill, and the Trion's column, and a lot of the historical landmarks of Rome. Not really the modern stuff. I am really interested in history, so I really want to see the historic monuments of Rome and the history, and just bask in the glory of the once most greatest empire in the Mediterranean. But after all of this time, I've realized one thing, that what would the Romans say if they could be time shifted into 2016 and see the people that are their ascendants, the Italians, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, and everyone who was all of the countries that were once part of the Roman Empire. And what would the Romans say? Would they say, "Great job, my descendants, you have made our glory even better," or they would say, "No, you fucking idiots, this was the way Rome declined and was destroyed"? Because let's put it in a historical context. The same way Rome fell is the same way Europe will fall, because it's basically done in the same nature. Rome invited barbarians so it could fill their own legions without actually trying to make them Roman citizens or Romans or civilized. And we are basically doing that today in Europe. We are inviting millions of people from the Middle East, from cultures that are woefully inferior to anything Europe has to offer. Even the worst cultures of Europe are still better than the Islamic cultures of the Middle East. And yes, I'm not really a cultural relativist, and I cannot say that the Islamic culture of stoning women for adultery or throwing gays off of buildings is the same as the, let's say, the French culture that embraced homosexuality as legal. Not the first, but let's just see the French colonies in Africa. French colonies in Africa are the only parts of Africa where you wouldn't get killed for being gay. Well, maybe in Niger or Mali, but in general, or Algeria for that, but in general, in Central Africa and Western Africa, the French colonies are the only countries where you can basically actually live as a gay person and not be killed or thrown off a building or something like that. Basically, homosexuality is not illegal. What do I want to say about this? I want to say is that the cultural relativism of today is a really bad idea, especially for people that the social justice warriors and the leftists are supposedly fighting for, aka women and LGBT people. If you say that Western culture is nothing better than Islamic culture, then you are basically condemning all of the LGBT people on earth to be dead, because, well, in the Islamic world you are killed for being LGBT. In the West you are not. If you are most likely killed by another Muslim. I have never heard of a case of a gay person in Sweden being killed by a Swede. I've never heard it. Even in and I bet you if you went through the newspapers, you would get maybe articles that say someone was attacked in Sweden for being gay, but I wouldn't bet that the persons who attacked the gay man or the lesbian woman or whatever, or the transgender person, were Swedish. I can bet you that even in all of the west of Europe, or even in the East, yes, you can still be attacked by a white person for being gay, and that is completely true, but you are not fucking thrown off a fucking building, at least still. And in the West, if you are attacked by someone and you are gay, you can count your bets and that the person is Muslim and not really Spanish, Swedish or whatever. Even Spain, that has mostly Catholic population and is pretty conservative about stuff like that. You still don't get the lynch mobs of Spanish people who want to kill the gays and kill the transgenders or whatever. And that is because Europe is a progressive place. We do not try to kill people because of what they are. We are being killed for what we are. We are not being Europe has not persecuted gay people for a long time, and even if when they did, for some magical reason, no one in Sweden attacked gay people, even though being gay was considered a mental illness in Sweden until 1968, if I'm not wrong. I do not really have the wish to check on this, but you know what I mean. Even though in some places in Switzerland women could not vote until 1974, that did not mean that there were lynch mobs against every woman that went out of the house without permission. Even though women could not vote in Switzerland until 1974, people weren't chipping, their own wives to know where they are, or, made laws that said that women cannot get out of the house, drive, or even go anywhere without a male escort. All of those things are part of the Islamic culture, not of the Western culture. And thereby, I'm going on a second, theme of this video, that is heritage and how do you deal with it. A lot of the times today, people from Europe, mostly white people, well, not mostly, in like 99.9% of the cases, are being told that you have no right to be proud of your heritage. And I find it as a stupid idea, and I'll tell you why, and it also goes into the first part of the video I was talking about. There is no way of you saying you cannot be proud of your, of your heritage, of your ancestors or everything, because, well, it's 2016, we are all human, we are all the same. No, we are not all the same. Yes, we are all human, and that is the only thing I am prepared to say yes to. Am I equal as a person to a man from Africa, to a man from China? Yes, I am, and we should all be treated as human. But is there a difference in culture? Yes, and I do hold my culture as far more superior than anything the Middle East or Africa can ever offer to the West. I do not hold genital mutilation to be fair just because it's part of someone's culture. It is a regressive act to say that anyone's culture is equal if your culture has mutilation of women, mutilation of children, allowed raping of women, allowed raping of children. If you follow a religion that says that your prophet fucked a 9-year-old girl and got married with the same girl when she was 6, it is not the same culture as the culture of Spain, as the culture of France, as the culture of Germany, as the culture of England. I am not saying that Europe is a perfect place or was a perfect place 200 years ago. No, it wasn't. Europe was also a shithole 200 years ago, and there was slavery, there was suppression of women and everything. But in the 200 years since then until now, we have prospered. We have made the most progressive place on earth, the most prosperous place on earth, and the place that, even though we are the same, all of the people from the fucking Middle East and Africa want to come. No, not because it's if everyone and every culture is the same. I see no point of a man from, let's say, Algeria coming to France, but he has an agenda. He wants to get there, to get the money, to just maybe get a better job, and also spread his ideals and the ideals of Islam. And that is the problem, is that too much of foreign culture was allowed to infiltrate into the Western culture, and is, by time, destroying what Western culture is. We are getting more and more attacks on LGBT people, LGBT persons in Sweden, from Muslims who are allowed to do that. If you put your foot down and said anyone who attacks an LGBT person for being LGBT would be thrown into prison for life, you wouldn't have daily attacks on gay people in Sweden. And this is why I ask, what would the Romans say if they were time transported into 2016?